What the fuck is this piece of shit?
My goodness. Sony, just let it go. It's over and it's been over. It was a cool idea in the beginning to have your own live action Spider-Man-less universe with all the villains, but the execution has been mid at best. Sony has released 4 of these movies, and the 5th one is coming our way with Kraven, and that shit ain't looking too hot, but we'll get to that later. The 4 movies that have been released, one of them has been fine, the other one was a bad movie, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and the other 2 literally turned into straight memes. Sony has just been straight catching L's. They've been looking like a prime Odell Beckham Jr. highlight reel the way that they've been catching these L's, because Madam Web and Morbius are some pretty legendary, just complete flops. Both of these movies has been reduced to straight fucking memes. Absolutely nobody takes these movies seriously, and they just look at it as a just complete joke. Not even Dakota Johnson flirting with me was enough for me to lie to myself and like these movies.
I know that when you see Madam Web, you're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
Yeah, just give me a second. I just have to take my pizza out for a walk.
Are you seriously watching porn by yourself?
These movies are so fucking terrible, bro. My goodness. Especially Madam Web. You know the movie is an absolute dumpster fire when Sydney Sweeney's fucking tits couldn't even save it. And that's saying something, because goddamn those things are as massive as the Ninja Low Taper Fade meme. Oh, I just realized that I forgot to put my dog in my oven. I'll be right back.
Hey you, did you hear? Brazzers is free.
I remember Morbius released twice. The movie did horribly in theaters for the first time, and it became a meme. I don't know how this happened, but Sony saw how many people were talking about Morbius, and so they released the movie again. Sony, if you just read one of those posts talking about Morbius, you would see that all of them were clowning the movie. Sony saw that Morbius was trending on Twitter and thought a hashtag Justice for Morbius movement was started. Well, the movie of course bombed again in the box office, to no one's surprise other than the higher ups of Sony. The higher ups of Sony at that time better be some old ass people that just don't know how to use the internet, because this is just unexcusable and just sad. How do you think that a whole bunch of people are liking your movie because you keep seeing people talk about it, it's trending on Twitter, and then not actually look at what the posts are about? Maybe they thought the movie was so bad that people thought it was funny, but that's just not how shit works. There are certain type of things that are bad in a way that it's funny. That's not at all what Morbius was. It was just a terrible movie that people clowned on. And the fact that Sony did not know this shows the level of competence of the people making these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. Sony, just take the L for these 2 movies. Double L. I believe it's ella in Spanish. Yeah, I had Spanish class in high school. I got like a 32 on my midterm, but if you need a guy to say the letter L for you in Spanish, just let me know. Did you guys ever actually learn the language you took in high school? Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot, but I took 3 years of Spanish and I don't know a lick of Spanish. I even took a Mandarin class, but the only thing I remember from that class was this lit song. Now the Venom movies. These are the most popular out of the 4, and it's the only one to get a sequel, and then it's also going to get a 3rd movie to wrap it all up. The first one was the definition of mid, and the second one was honestly just a bad movie. It wasn't torture in the form of like Madam Web, but it's nowhere near a good movie. I really don't like the direction that they took with these movies. They have this happy-going comedic tone with constant jokes and witty remarks, and I don't like it at all. I wish these movies had a darker tone to them. I think it would fit way better with Venom, but the first movie came out when Marvel was in its prime, and every superhero movie that came out during that time was just riding Marvel like a Bella Danger when she caught her stepbrother beating off.
What are you doing, step bro?
DC and Sony saw how successful Marvel was, and instead of trying to put their own twist on things, they just decided to completely copy their lighthearted style, and we are just left with Marvel movies with different characters and just done in a way shittier way. It is okay when Marvel does it because they made it popular, but when the rest do it, it just feels like a cheap knockoff. I talked about this in another video, but imagine for these Venom movies, they went for a more horror tone. Not for it to be super scary, but for it to have a darker tone. Like if the first movie had a scene where Venom just starts going off and ends up killing some people, and Eddie just fights for control, I really think that Venom would just work better in a darker tone. Seeing Venom make a bunch of jokes just completely turns me off for this movie. Now for Kraven. This movie is slated to come out late this year, and this movie already seems like it's in trouble. This movie was actually supposed to come out earlier in this year, but apparently screen tests were terrible and Sony got PTSD from Madam Web and delayed the movie to do some reshoots. Yeah, I would probably could possibly say that's not a good sign.
Some wobbly wobbles there. Looks like Don might have crashed, I'm not positive.
On top of that, what the actual fuck did they do to Rhino?
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
Hey, if Kraven is good then, fuck me, I guess. But I would put your bank account on the line that it's going to be mid at best.
All right, play off the grid.
We off the grid.